Okay, guys. Well, welcome. We're going to go ahead and get our meeting started. And I went ahead and muted the line. So if you need to unmute, you can press *6. But to keep the line clear, we ask that everyone stay muted if you're not saying the prayer. Anyways, so hi everyone. Today is Wednesday, June 26th, 2024. My name is Angie H, and I am a recovered Al-Anon and will be leading this meeting tonight. We want to welcome everyone to our Al-Anon Big Book Recovery meeting. This is a step speaker meeting that meets every Wednesday night at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will study the 12 steps by using the precise instructions out of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous as they relate to us as Al-Anons. Let's get our meeting started. This is the original AA preamble written by the AA Grapevine, describing the fellowship in 1940. We studied the preamble with an open mind and open heart to consider how it applies to Al-Anon. This helps us to stay focused on the message of recovery the pioneers intended while observing the traditions in action. Through the actions taken based on the instructions of the basic text, we comprehend what the pioneers meant when they described the membership of AA, which is that they worked a program of recovery and they no longer drink. In our case, we no longer obsessed over the alcoholic. Through continuous action and study of these principles, the understanding of the value of the original preamble reveals itself. We ask for your humble consideration of our sincere admiration of the pioneers of Alcoholics Anonymous. The simple hope is that we of Al-Anon will grow into the same clarity and unity that birthed the original 12-step fellowship, because without them, after all, none of us would be here. The original AA preamble. We are gathered here because we are faced with the fact that we are powerless over alcohol and unable to do anything about it without the help of a power greater than ourselves. We feel that each person's religious views, if any, are his own affair. The simple purpose of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is to show what may be done to enlist the aid of a power greater than ourselves, regardless of what our individual conception of that power may be. In order to form a habit of depending upon and referring all we do to that power, we must at first apply ourselves with some diligence. By often repeating these acts, they become habitual, and the help rendered becomes natural to us. We have come to know that, as alcoholics, we suffer from a serious disease for which medicine has no cure. Our condition may be the result of an allergy, which makes us different from other people. It has never been permanently cured by any treatment with which we are familiar. The only relief we have to offer is absolute abstinence, the second meaning of AA. There are no dues or fees. The only requirement for membership is the desire to stop drinking. Each member squares his debt by helping others to recover. An Alcoholics Anonymous member is an alcoholic who, through the application of and adherence to the AA program, has forsworn the use of any and all alcoholic beverages in any form. The moment he takes so much as one drop of beer, wine, spirits, or any other liquid containing alcohol, he automatically loses all status as a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. AA is not interested in sobering up drunks who are not sincere in their desire to stay sober for all time. Not being reformers, we offer our experience only to those who want it. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and on which we can join in harmonious action. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our program. Those who do not recover are people who will not or simply cannot give themselves to this simple program. Now, you may like our program or you may not, but the simple fact remains that it works, and we believe is our only chance to recover. There is a vast amount of fun included in the AA fellowship. Some people might be shocked at our seeming worldliness and levity, but just underneath there lies a deadly earnestness and a full realization that we must put first things first. And with each of us, the first thing is the solution to our alcoholic problem. To drink is to die. Faith must work 24 hours a day in and through us, or we perish. In order to set our tone for this meeting, I ask that we bow our heads in a few moments of silent prayer and meditation, followed by the Serenity Prayer. Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thy will, not mine, be done. I wish to remind you that whatever is said at this meeting expresses our own individual opinion as of today and as of up to this moment. We do not speak for AA as a whole, and you are free to agree or disagree as you see fit. In fact, it is suggested that you pay no attention to anything which might not be reconciled with what is in the AA Big Book. If you don't have a big book, it is time you bought one. Read it, study it, live with it, follow the directions in it, and learn what it means to be an AA. And that's the end of the preamble. A sponsor is anyone who has had a psychic change as a result of working the steps and has the willingness to work with others. For those looking for a sponsor to guide them through the steps, please stay tuned and have your pens ready to record phone numbers immediately after the meeting. Each Al-Anon group ought to be a spiritual entity having but one primary purpose, that of carrying the message to the Al-Anon who still suffers. This is our primary spiritual aim. Our job as a group is to provide people with a place to learn about and work the steps. It has been our experience that working the steps consistently provides us with a better saner life. We consider all out to be outside issues. This includes personal problems. The proper venue for sharing such problems is with a sponsor. This is, after all, where real recovery takes place, in working the steps with a sponsor. We are just so glad we are all here, and we are all here because we are not all there. There will be a period of fellowship after the meeting if you have questions, if you need a sponsor, if you need to check in or get current, or if you want to discuss other literature, please stick around for the fellowship. That would be a better time for these subjects. All right. So, this is our step speaker meeting. So each Wednesday of the month, we review different steps. So this is the end of June, and so we are going to be talking about steps 10 through 12 tonight. I will give a brief little summary of the first 9 steps before we jump in. But yeah, if you want more details, you can go on to our YouTube website, and I will be giving that after the meeting tonight. So you can listen to the other recordings, feel free to do that. There's lots of great speakers sharing. So tonight I am again using the Alcoholics Anonymous Big Book. So if you want to follow along, you can do so. I have the 4th edition, and if you don't have a copy, you can find one on the AA website for free. So let me hop over to my script here. Let's see. Okay. So we're going to just do a quick review of steps 1 through 9. So if you want to go, you can follow along. I'm going to tell you the steps are listed on page 59 if you are not aware, if you're new here. The steps are on page 59. And so I'll just start. Step 1, we admitted we are powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unmanageable. And again, like step 1, our step 1 is the same, basically as the alcoholic, except unless we do have the alcoholic gene, then we're probably not allergic, or powerless over alcohol, right? We don't have that physical allergy, but we have the mental component. So whenever our loved one starts drinking, then it sets us up for our spree, our spiraling out, whatever you want to call it, controlling, managing the alcoholic in our life. And then because of all of that stuff that we do, our life becomes unmanageable, right? So we don't have the physical component unless, of course, you are you are with that physical component. So I don't want to, disqualify others, because there might be someone on the line that has both, right? Which can totally be the case. But for Al-Anons, unless you have that alcoholic gene, then you're not going to be powerless over alcohol. But for us, we're powerless because the alcoholic in our life, once they take that sip of alcohol, they need more and more of it, and that sets them up for their spree. And then, of course, we're in the background trying to fix and manage and control them. So that's what we do in our illness. So we have to be all in at step one. We have to recognize that, we have tried all of these human aid solutions and none of them have worked for good and all, right? Like, we have to know that. And, we cannot change the alcoholic. We have no control over their recovery, right? This program is all about us. So, and that's a hard pill for us to swallow when we get here. We're asking for help because we know that our life has become unmanageable and that we are powerless, and the way that we have been living our life hasn't been working so well. So we're going to ask our recovered sponsor to help us, right? But it's hard for us to hand the steering wheel over to our higher power, and that might mean we might lose our alcoholic loved one, right? There are people that they will never recover from this, and that's the sad reality. But it's the same reality for us. There are many Al-Anons that probably will not recover. So anywho, moving on. Step 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So, it really is that gift of desperation that brings us here. And, if you can say, hey, I'm toast, the way that my life is going right now isn't going so great, and it's become unmanageable and I'm powerless, then it's pretty easy to accept that, okay, yeah, maybe there is a power greater than myself that can restore us to sanity, right? We just get that hope. It's just that little bit of hope that we start getting when we come here and we listen to the recovered members sharing their story, right? And then we call up a sponsor and they share their story and we get a little bit more hope, right? And that's all we need is a little bit of hope that, hey, yeah, maybe this will work. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. So this is the last decision step that we are going to make. And all we're doing is making a decision to continue on in the steps, which means we're turning our thoughts and our actions over to our higher power. That's it. This step doesn't have to be that scary. It's just the commitment we're making to continue on with the steps. It's nothing more than that. It is a big decision. It is the last decision step. The rest are action steps, right? But all it is, how willing are you? If your life isn't working so well, you should be pretty willing to do whatever it takes, right? So it's really about, again, that gift of desperation and a little hope and a little willingness. And that's really all you need to make that beginning. Step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. So this is where we are going to write down our resentments, our fears, and our sex conduct. And we're going to get all of that spoiled food out of our fridge, right? This is where we're going to get really honest. And, all of this stuff has been blocking us off from the sunlight of the spirit. So we have had kind of skewed perceptions this whole time. It could be difficult for us to grow up maybe we grew up in an alcoholic home and, we've been surviving by holding on to these things. And these stories, a lot of times we are just living in this victimhood and self-pity, and it's not serving us any benefit any longer, right? So we're going to clear away all that stuff. We're going to get a new perspective, which is the next step here. Step 5 admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. So this is where we're reviewing our inventory with our sponsors, and they're going to help us to see things differently, to consider a different side. To start having that psychic change, we have to do this. We have to see things differently. And, you know, it really is a humbling process and an ego-deflating, humbling process, I will say. But we have to do it, and our sponsors did it, and the people before them had to do it. And, you know, if we want what the pioneers of AA had, then we have to follow all of these steps precisely as they were written. So we're not going to be withholding information because that will only hurt us, right? Half measures availed us nothing. So we're going to be really honest here. We're going to write down everything. Now there may be times where, you know, like, later on down the road, you may realize that you forgot something. That's okay. That's probably going to happen. The whole point here is that we're not withholding. Okay. Step 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. So this is basically, you know, again, we're going to ask God to help us remove these defects. And you know, we're going to continue working these steps every single day. Step 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. And then step 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. So, you know, all of those people that we wrote down on our inventory, we are going to list them on our step 8. They are all there, and we're just going to transfer them over to another sheet of paper, perhaps. And we are going to be willing to make amends wherever possible. Again, our sponsor will help us with this. We aren't meant to go out and do these all in one day. This is going to take a lifetime. And, you know, that's, again, like that's how it's supposed to be. Because we are going to continue to grow in our spiritual effectiveness, and we're going to understand how we have been harmful. Because yes, on surface level, when we get here, our sponsors tell us, hey, you've been really harmful. You've actually caused a lot of harm. Because that's hard for us to, on like a deep heart level, really truly get how we have been harmful. Because we can say, well, you know, I'm not driving around drunk. You know, I'm not going around killing people with my drunkenness, you know, getting behind the wheel. No. But we can certainly, you know, we can contribute to alcoholic. We can actually, I'm not saying that we can cause them to drink, but we can definitely contribute to their illness. You know, all of that fixing and meddling and all of this stuff that we have done can actually cause them to you know, to go on a spree. It can. So, and I know that from personal experience. I lost my twin brother. I'm not laughing about this, but I just know from experience that it's the case, because I remember my brother and I would be talking on the phone and I would hear him drinking in the background. I could hear the bottle sloshing around on the phone. And I remember telling him, like, hey, are you drinking again? You know, like I'm his mom. It's none of my business. I had no power or control over it anyway. So he lost his battle. And so that's the truth, right? Like we can contribute. And again, like that's a hard pill for us to swallow, but we are making, you know, we're making a new beginning. We're handing the steering wheel over. The best thing we can do is work these steps if we have a loved one that is suffering with alcoholism. And it's not about them getting recovered. This is all about us. The best thing we can do is practice these principles. Okay. So I kind of got off. So let me get back. Let's see. Okay. So made direct amends. Step 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. So again, our sponsor is going to help us here, but the best thing we want to do is make direct amends wherever possible. Eyeball to eyeball. It means more, right? It means more, but there are people that maybe we owe amends to that we're not going to be able to see. And there are different circumstances and different ways to do that. And we will talk to our sponsor and, you know, our higher power will help us too, but our sponsors really are there to help us. And we just have to follow instructions. And, yeah. So, okay. So that's step 9. So after we do our first direct amends, after we make that first direct amends, we are recovered. That's it. Like steps 1 through 9, you are recovered. Steps 10 through 12 are our spiritual growth steps. So this is where we are going to practice our spiritual effectiveness every single day so that we grow. You know, and it's like nails on a chalkboard to me when I hear like, these are our maintenance steps. And it's like, no, we're not supposed to just maintain. Like, no, we're meant to continue to learn, continue to grow. Nobody works a perfect program. And yeah, like we aren't gonna be spiritual gurus walking around. No, I was just talking to somebody else before the meeting. I am learning things every single day, and I've been here for almost 8 years. And yeah, I don't know everything. And that's just how it should be. And God will keep revealing more and more to us. We just have to do our part. What's our part? Asking for the next right step. That's really it. Like we just continue to turn things over with our step 10, which is what we're going to talk about, and continue to work these steps every single day, and God will keep us unharmed. That's a promise. So, so let me see. Okay, so after we make our first direct amends, we're considered recovered. And so step 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. So yeah, guess what? We're going to still mess up. Again, we're not perfect. We're going to mess up. These defects are still going to pop up. We might have fears. We might have some resentments because, you know, people aren't doing what we want them to. But the thing is, we no longer have to go down that spiral, right? We don't have to circle the drain. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole of thinking and plotting and managing and controlling. No. When we have that thought that pops up, we know what to do with it. We're going to turn it over to our higher power. We're going to call our sponsor and 10-step it, and we're going to go be helpful. That's it. So let's see. Okay. So, you know, when we're working with a protege and they make their first direct amends, we should tell them congratulations, right? It's hard for us to remember, like, how much that was hard, right? It was hard in the beginning to even ask for help. And the fact that they made it to step 9 and got to their, you know, they got recovered. Like, that's amazing. So yes, congratulations. It's really hard to ask for help, right? We know that. We think we are the strongest people and we can handle anything, right? Like, it's okay to say you don't have this. You need help. So awesome. You know, you're working with someone and they get through their first direct amends. Congratulations. But guess what? There's more work to be done, right? We don't just graduate from there, right? We have to keep putting more and more work in. Again, faith without works is dead. It's not enough for us just to take that first direct amends and then, yay, I'm done. No, because we know what happens. If we let up on our spiritual, you know, principles, we go right back into that crazy thinking, trying to control and manage. So we have to work these every single day. Okay, so let's see. So, you know, we make that first direct amends and there are some promises we get. Our 10th step promises are on page 84. So it says, and we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol, for by this time sanity will have returned. We will seldom be interested in liquor. If tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. We react sanely and normally, and we will find that this has happened automatically. We will see that our new attitude towards liquor has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That is the miracle of it. We are not fighting it, neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we had been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor are we afraid. That is our experience. That is how we react so long as we keep in fit spiritual conditions. So many beautiful things are promised to us, right? It's amazing. We can be neutral. If someone's in a bad mood, we don't have to engage. It's okay for us to say, not tonight, and walk away, right? But before a program, I'm sure, easier said than done, right? We don't know how to do that. We don't know that we can just walk away and not engage. We don't know that we don't have to be a carpet for people to walk on. We don't know how to say no to people. We just do whatever we need to do to get that validation, that approval from others, people pleasing, whatever we do in our illness, right? That's what I did. I walked around on eggshells and I checked everyone's temperatures all day long. How exhausting. Oh, how are they today? Are they in a good mood or a bad mood? How should I act? It was so exhausting. Nope, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't. I am neutral, but I'm human, and still the thought might pop up in my head if someone is in a bad mood. I might become a little selfish and self-absorbed and think that I have something to do with it. But guess what? It's none of my business anymore. I turn it over. I do a 10-step, right? That is what recovery is like. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole, and we have a solution, right? So many times people think that, oh, well, I'm still I still have these thoughts of trying to control. Well, guess what? That's going to happen. You're still going to have thoughts. It's what we do with those thoughts now, right? We have a choice, whereas before, we didn't have a choice, right? I feel uncomfortable. Now I'm just going to, act so that I can get comfortable, right? So we no longer have to do that. We're going to go to our higher power for that ease and comfort, right? And help others. Okay. Let's see. Page 84, it says, oh wait, there's something else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, it says, it is easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. We are headed for trouble if we do, for alcohol is a subtle foe. We are not cured of alcoholism. Yeah. So this isn't a cure. This is how we stay recovered. It's our medicine that we have to take every day. But we can easily go back if we are not staying in fit spiritual conditions. And again, it can be easy for us. It could. If we're not taking our medicine every day, we can easily go back. So this is a reminder for us that we have to work these steps every single day, right? There's no graduation. Okay, and then says this thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. We vigorously commence this way of living as we clean up the past. We have entered the world of the spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. We discuss them with someone immediately and make amends quickly if we have harmed anyone. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Love and tolerance of others is our code. Yes. So again, so we're going to be doing a mini inventory every day, right? We are constantly going to be pausing throughout our day. So this seems kind of backwards. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but step 11, that is where we are pausing, right? And we get lots of directions on how to do step 11, but step 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. So this right here, this is where we are going to continue to seek our higher power. And for many of us, this is hard, right? And I know my program has grown over the years, but, I would just follow the rules, like I would read in the morning and would have to set a timer throughout the day, which is a great way to remind yourself to pause and connect, because it's still challenging for me to remember to pause sometimes. It's so easy to get in self and like autopilot and just do. And then before you know it, like half the day is gone. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to pause for a minute. I have not paused. So, like the more that we are pausing, the more 10 steps we are going to have. It's crazy how that works. But my sponsor has been telling me like, hey, like if you're pausing more throughout the day, it's kind of backwards, right? Because step 11 comes after step 10. But the more that we are pausing, that will give you more 10 steps. And, like it's just, that's how it works. So it's really easy for us to have something little pop up and not pause the 10 steps. So yeah, like I challenge you, like pause more. Set a timer for yourself. Like I'm probably going to have to do that again because it's hard. It's summertime. My daughter's home. I get stuck in doing things and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't paused today. I need to do that. So we all struggle in this area and it's not easy to be quiet and listen, but that's what we're doing when we're meditating, right? So we'll talk about that step in a minute, but this little inventory, step 10, we're going to do this every single day. And there are directions that we follow. So, if we're feeling agitated or frustrated, we pause and, we ask God, hey, what are my defects here? What's going on? And, we ask God to remove those. Then we call our sponsor or we, however your sponsor wants your 10 steps. Usually it's good when you're new to call your sponsor. So, you might call them, you might text them if you can't call them or whatever the case may be. But at any point, you're going to get that 10 step to your sponsor and they can help you if you can't see, your selfish part or your dishonesty. Those two things are vital. We have to understand our selfishness because a lot of times, yes, we're selfish, but we don't really know how. Right? So our sponsors are going to help us see the truth. So again, like we're going to do this and this isn't for us to beat ourselves up, right? Like again, this is a tool and, this is how we are going to learn how to, carry our spiritual principles in all of our affairs too, because we have to practice them throughout our day and we're going to mess up, right? The big book says that we're going to mess up. And if we do, then we make amends quickly and we move on, right? So we're going to make amends for the rest of our life. Nobody's perfect. So, okay. So yeah, love and tolerance. So we're going to start living love and tolerance as our code. But again, this doesn't mean that we just allow everyone to walk all over us. No, because that's what we used to do, right? We let everyone just walk all over us and, no, like we are able to say no when we need to say no, but we do it loving and kindly, right? Like we learn how to do that by working these steps with our sponsor. I know for me, I never knew how to say no. And I could be either really bitchy or really kind. But there can be gray, right? It's not black and white anymore. There's going to be some gray area, right? So yeah, people can still make us mad sometimes. We might be resentful of them. That's okay, right? Again, this doesn't wipe everything away, right? Like, it doesn't make everything okay. Like, no, it's not okay if someone's abusing us or whatever the case may be, but we no longer have to go into that obsession anymore, right? Like, we have a new way out. Okay. We're basically keeping our windshield clean from bird poop throughout our day. That's what our goal is. Because if birds keep flying by and pooping on the windshield, then you can't see straight. So if all of these little things that are happening throughout the day just pile up, soon enough, you're gonna get restless, irritable, and discontented, and you're gonna try to find a way out, that easy way out, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to go back. So we've got to do this every single day. So let's see. So yeah, step 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. So again, that's all about that pause, and it gives us directions. This is so great because many of us, if we knew how to do this and stay connected with our higher power, we wouldn't need to be here, right? But we're undisciplined. So we need the discipline. And I know when I was brand new, my sponsor was like, okay, in the morning, I want you to read, on page 86, it says On Awakening. So you're going to read that page, you're going to read 87, you're going to read 88 every single day. And I do. I still read it. And there's actually a meditation that I do now. And it's guided and it goes exactly through these pages. It's pretty amazing. So I pretty much have it memorized now, and that's good for me because I need the reminder. We're undisciplined, right? The big book says that. We need to be disciplined. So we keep reading this every single day. And so this gives us directions on how we're going to pause and how we're going to ask God for direction. So, on page 86, it says, when we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Were we kind and loving toward all? What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time, or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God for forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. So again, our sponsors are going to ask us to probably email this to them every night. Again, this is not something you're being graded on. And yeah, like it's really up to you if you want to send this. Like the big book doesn't say you must send this to your sponsor. However, I know because I have worked with many proteges and they would stop sending these. And then pretty soon, like their program was just out the door. Like they were done. So I know that if we're not staying disciplined, if we're not doing this, then yeah, we can relapse. We can go right back. So it's important. And this is meant to be a review of our day. Nothing more. It's not a weapon. And again, like it would be easy for us to drift off into morbid reflection, the big book calls it, where we get into pity. And no, that's not what this is about. We're going to mess up, right? But what can we do differently? That's it, right? We're going to keep growing. We're going to learn how to do things differently so we don't keep making the same mistakes, right? And, okay, and so we have directions on how to connect with our higher power at night. And then on awakening, it says on awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance. For after all, God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. So this is so wonderful to start your day on this note, right? Because, gosh, before programs, it was like I would wake up and just start, what can I plan today? Not even thinking about others. It was what I could get, right? And so no longer, we're going to ask God, like, to set us up, like, for our day. Like, okay, God, like, how can I be helpful? What should I do today? And the answer will come. Maybe not in our timing. Maybe it'll come later on. Maybe it'll come 2 days from now. Who knows? But the answer will come. And it's actually just such a relief to hand that wheel over to our higher power, because it's exhausting trying to run the show ourselves. It really is. So, instead of thinking of ourselves, what our plans are, we're going to ask God what the plans are today. And who knows what they are. God will reveal that. It says, in thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. We are often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. So yeah, it's telling us right here that we might be like indecisive, and that's okay. We're going to ask God, like, help me God. Like, I can't decide between this or this. Can you help me? And again, like, just keep asking. It may take some time, but the answer will come. So that's really amazing stuff right here. Again, none of us knew how to do this, and I know I certainly didn't. I didn't know how to pray and meditate. And if I did, it was usually to ask for something I wanted, right? Not how I could help others. So this is a new way for us. It's a new way. It's going to take time. Again, this is not an overnight matter. We're not going to do this perfectly. We just have to do our best. That's all that our God expects of us, or our Creator. So on page 87, it says, we usually conclude the period of meditation with a prayer that we be shown all through the day what our next step is to be, that we be given whatever we need to take care of such problems. We ask especially for freedom from self-will and are careful to make no requests for ourselves only. We may ask for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. Many of us have wasted a lot of time doing that, and it doesn't work. You can easily see why. And it says, as we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show, humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, thy will be done. We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. Thy will be done, right? Like, and this is it. Like, if we're agitated or doubtful, like, you can feel your spirit. If you feel your spirit and it's feeling like that, it's just feeling off, that's a good sign that you should listen to. Like, God is trying to tell you to pause, right? Like, if your spirit's feeling off, that's probably a 10 step. And maybe we can't put our finger on it, and that's when we pick up the phone and we call our sponsor, right? And I know I was terrified at first, and I still have a healthy fear of reaching out to my sponsor, but I know that if I want to stay recovered, I am going to have to do that. I'm going to have to. And that's okay. That's, I'm usually fearful because she's going to tell me the truth and I don't want to hear it, right? That's honestly the truth. It's hard to hear the truth sometimes. It's hard to swallow those truth pills, but we need that. I don't need a friend. I need someone that's going to be honest with me, who's going to set me straight, who's going to keep me grounded in the steps. And that's what our sponsor's guide, or our sponsor's role is. Okay. I'm going to move on. We're almost out of time here. So I'm going to move on to step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So yes, like we are going to carry on the message, right? Because our sponsors gave their time. We are going to give ourselves to those that are still suffering. And because our message is like gold, right? It carries that depth and weight as we talked about previously. And like we know what it was like to be on the other side, right? To be drowning, basically, right? So we're going to go out there and we're going to carry this message. And I know for me, I was terrified. I was like, are you serious? Like now I have to go be helpful, but I just got recovered. Like, what are you talking about? Guess what? Yes, you can do it, because all we're doing is we're going out there and we're sharing our experience. That's really all this is all about, right? And we can learn what not to do from Ebby when he was carrying the message to Bill, right? Like he was like, I've got religion. And, you know, Bill was going into bars and pulling people off bar stools. Now, we're going to be carrying this message to other Al-Anons, right? Not other alcoholics. That is not our job, right? Other alcoholics help other alcoholics. We are going to go out and try to find people that are still suffering in this, right? And there are people out there that have no idea that this is even possible. They have no idea. And so we're going to try to find those people. We're going to try our best. So yeah. Let's see. So page 89. There's so much good stuff in chapter 7, working with others. So if I don't get through it all, definitely read this chapter because it's awesome. So page 89, practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. It works when other activities fail. This is our 12th suggestion. Carry this message to other alcoholics. You can help when no one else can. You can secure their confidence when others fail. Remember, they are very ill. Yes. So this is it, right? Like it ensures our immunity. When we are going out there and just trying to help others, just trying to carry this message, that's enough to ensure our immunity. No, God will handle the result. You know, that's not on us. That's on our higher power. All that we are meant to do is try. We're just going out there. We're trying to carry the message. That's it. That's all that is asked of us. And yeah, we can help when no one else can. And basically the bottom line is if you're struggling in an area in your life, the big book in this chapter specifically tells us, go out and help another Al-Anon. Like that's really the bottom line in all of this is, yeah, if you're having a struggle at work, go help someone. You know, if your sex life is struggling, go help someone. You know, whatever the case may be, the bottom line is 12-step work. That's it. Like, really is. And it takes us out of ourselves. The minute we are out there helping another, it takes us out of ourselves and it helps us to be grateful. It gives us that gratitude from where we came from, right? It helps us remember where we came from. When we're out there talking to someone who's in it, right? They're in it. They're in it. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's see. Yeah, life will take on new meaning to watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. We know you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives. Yeah, so life's going to take on new meaning. And our sponsors are going to help us because, again, yeah, our solution is to help others, but we have to do it in the right way, right? So not in the wrong way like we used to, right? Our motives were selfish before coming here. We wanted to fix others. We wanted to help them recover, but it was because we felt uncomfortable. It's no longer that way, right? We just want to help others because we know that, yeah, like this is something great, right? And we want to pass it on. That's what this is all about. And it is. It's the bright spot of our lives. Let's see. It says, it happens that because of our own drinking experience, you can be uniquely useful to other alcoholics. So cooperate, never criticize. To be helpful is our only aim. Again, it would do us no good to stand on a moral high ground and tell others like, oh yeah, you need help. You definitely need to work these steps. No. And this chapter, again, it's going to give us all the guidelines we need for different situations. You know, it's going to tell us when we're going out there and we're talking to others, like we're sharing from our experience only, right? Like where we came from, what our life was like before, and how we are today, right? Like that's it. We are not trying to shove the big book down people's throats because this is based on attraction, not promotion. And it says, when you discover a prospect, I'm on page 90, when you discover a prospect for Alcoholics Anonymous, find out all you can about him. If he does not want to stop drinking, don't waste time trying to persuade him. You may spoil a later opportunity. This advice is given for his family also. They should be patient, realizing they are dealing with a sick person. Again, we cannot force someone here. If they are not ready, they're not ready. Move on. Go find somebody else because you're just going to spoil that opportunity. And, you know, if we take someone through the steps and they are not at their step one, then we're wasting our time, right? And you can spoil their opportunity later. If they are not at their rock bottom, maybe they will be later, but that's not up to us, right? We have to let them go. Just let them go. Let's see, page 91, it says, when he sees you know all about the drinking game, commence to describe yourself as an alcoholic. Tell him how baffled you were, how you finally learned that you were sick. Give him an account of the struggles you made to stop. Show him the mental twist which leads to the first drink of a spree. We suggest you do this as we have done it in the chapter on alcoholism. So more about alcoholism. If he is an alcoholic, he will understand you at once. He will match your mental inconsistencies with some of his own. So yeah, so again, like the stories in the back of the book, they're sharing the experiences, and it's really there for us to qualify ourselves, right? To see how we belong here. And everybody's story is so different. Some people were raised in an alcoholic family. Some people weren't. Some people are just drawn to alcoholics for whatever reason, you know? They're codependent in nature and they want to fix people. And who knows? Everybody's backgrounds are so different. And that's why, listening to others share their story can help so much. And that's why we have to go out there and share our story. Let's see, page 95. You will be most successful with alcoholics if you do not exhibit any passion for crusade or reform. Never talk down to an alcoholic from any moral or spiritual hilltop. Simply lay out the kit of spiritual tools for his inspection. Show him how they worked with you. Offer him friendship and fellowship. Tell him that if he wants to get well, you will do anything to help. Again, like, we don't want to go out like, you know, like, I can help you. Like, no, we cannot be spiritual reformers. Again, they have to believe that they are ready and are done before they can even begin working these steps. And again, that's not up to us. So if they're not done, we let them continue on their journey and maybe they'll be back. We leave the door open, you know, we're loving and kind. Okay. Sorry guys. My line just dropped me for some reason. That's really weird. Okay. Well, guess what? That's like the end of our meeting too. I just wanted to say one more thing though. That was really weird. Okay. Let me get back to my script. I just wanted to share there are some promises here. And yeah, on page 100 it says, both you and the new man must walk day by day in the path of spiritual progress. If you persist, remarkable things will happen. When you look back, we realize that things which came to us when we put ourselves in God's hands were better than anything we could have planned. Follow the dictates of a higher power, and you will presently live in a new and wonderful world, no matter what your present circumstances. Go or stay away, whichever seems best, but be sure you are on solid spiritual ground before you start, and that your motive in going is thoroughly good. Do not think of what you will get out of the occasion. Think of what you can bring to it. But if you are shaky, you had better work with another alcoholic instead. Your job now is to be at the place where you may be of maximum helpfulness to others. So never hesitate to go anywhere if you can be helpful. You should not hesitate to visit the most horrid spot on earth on such an errand. Keep on the firing line of life with these motives, and God will keep you unharmed. So beautiful, right? And this right here, this is like the description of a sponsor, right? That's it. And it's beautiful. We must keep passing this on, or we can't keep what we don't pass on, right? And so it's vital. We have to carry this message. So yeah, I guess that's where I'm going to end tonight. So sorry I got cut off. All right. Let's see. Seventh tradition. Every group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. This group does not have a payment structure in place and currently requires no overhead expenses. If you would like to fulfill Tradition 7, please direct contributions directly to the Al-Anon World Service Office by visiting alanon.org. For questions about this meeting, or if you are looking for a sponsor, please send emails to alanonbigbookrecovery@gmail.com. Recordings can be accessed on YouTube by searching at Al-Anon Step Speaker in the YouTube search box. If you are interested in other Al-Anon meetings that follow the Big Book, please visit www.alanon-bigbooksolutiongroup.org. Reading from the Big Book, page 164. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But you obviously cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and for countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. Now let's have a moment of silence for the Al-Anon who still suffers, followed by the Lord's Prayer or a prayer of your own choosing said in silence. Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. All right, we're going to go ahead and